Date of the vote for the President of the United States as delivered to the President of the Senate is as follows. The whole number of the electors appointed to vote for President of the United States is 538. Within that whole number, the majority is 270. The votes for President of the United States are as follows. Donald J. Trump of the state of Florida has received 312 votes. Kamala D. Harris of the state of California has received 226 votes.
I intend to resign as party leader, as prime minister, after the party selects its next leader through a robust, nationwide, competitive process.
This is the Nations Conspire channel. Welcome to today's show. January 6, 2021, the day that the government staged an insurrection at the Capitol building, was deemed as the day that democracy died in America. Well, maybe January 6, 2025, we can deem as the day that national sovereignty died. Because what you just saw was deliberately acted out on January 6, 2025. Donald Trump has been confirmed by Congress as the next president of the United States. No pushback, no election denial, and of course, from MAGA and conservatives, no suspicion whatsoever as to why all of a sudden the Democrat liberal controlled media is fine with Donald Trump being president. They're not denying the election. They're moving forward with Trump as the president of the United States of America because this has been the plan all along. And on January 6th, while they confirmed Donald Trump, what else happened to happen? Justin Trudeau stepped aside and resigned as the Prime Minister of Canada, putting Canada in flux. Who's going to be the next Prime Minister? They're not going to have a ruler for quite some time in Canada. But wait, here comes Donald Trump. Here comes Kevin O'Leary. Here comes corporations in the Club of Rome, giving you the solution to all the deliberate chaos that Justin Trudeau has caused in Canada. And of course, the solution is a North American Union. We all warned people for years about Trump being the one who would bring in a new world order. He's not even officially in office yet. And he's wasted no time in bringing about the Club of Rome's North American Union objective. And the objective of the Club of Rome to regionalize a global world system. So there's a lot to get into in this video. Please pay attention and make sure you have an understanding of what's happening. This should be an easy wake-up call for anybody who is stuck in the left-right paradigm. Again, the Democrats were put in office to act like bumbling fools. It was deliberate sabotage so that the people would call for change, for normalcy, for an alpha male like Donald Trump to be put in power to make things normal again. They deliberately did all of the most insane things they could possibly imagine. All the stuff we saw with gender, all the stuff we saw with the economy and gas prices and inflation, all done by design to make you beg for change. And the change is coming in the form of these Donald Trump prototypes that they're putting into power now around the earth. This has been part of the plan from the get-go. Sabotage from within, problem, reaction, solution. Here comes Donald Trump, among others, who are going to bring about this new world order system. And none of these people are going to see it as it's unfolding right in front of their face because they're going to be paying attention to stories about how they're paying less taxes, how the IRS is getting abolished, all these things that aren't really going to occur that are going to make them excited about the future. And they won't want to hear about any of these new world order objectives, which have been blueprints that have been in place for a long time that are now getting carried out right in front of us. And that's because these people were never truly awake in the first place, which again is why they created the Q movement. A mass awakening was occurring. The government stepped in, created Q, hijacked the movement, and made sure that these people who are getting into conspiracies and learning about underground tunnels and underground rings would start getting fed manufactured scripts, manufactured conspiracies. So they would believe that they were awakening to what was really going on. They would be awakening to the cesspool of the government. But of course, staying inside of the left-right paradigm was what it was all about, so that they wouldn't even see that all they had to do was pay attention to these secret societies, these secret globalist organizations, from the Bilderberg to the Club of Rome to the Trilateral Commission to the World Economic Forum, and how their public blueprints are out there for us to read. And Donald Trump is implementing them, including AI governance. That is the blueprint of the World Economic Forum's New World Order. So Donald Trump, after all that stuff happened, once again is putting these tweets out about many people in Canada love being the 51st state. The United States can no longer suffer the massive trade deficits and subsidies that Canada needs to stay afloat. Trudeau knew this and resigned. If Canada merged with the U.S., there would be no tariffs. Taxes would go down, and they would be totally secure from the threat of a Russian and Chinese ships that are constantly surrounding them. Together, what a great nation it would be. So, of course, mixing in this stuff where the confused people out there who are hearing this are kind of laughing it off with this whole Canada's a little brother type notion. We'll bring Canada over. What an embarrassment Trudeau has made Canada. And they don't even realize that this is part of the 10 Kingdom plan that the Club of Rome established back in 1973. So when you see all that stuff, keep in mind how he puts in, there would be no tariffs. Taxes would go down. Everything would be more secure. This is appeasing the people out there who are reading this, who aren't even processing what this means as Canada's the 51st state. Right after that, what does Trump tweet out? I'm hearing that the people of Greenland are MAGA. My son, Don Jr., and various representatives will be traveling there to visit some of the most magnificent areas and sites. Greenland is an incredible place, and the people will benefit tremendously if and when it becomes part of our nation. We will protect it and cherish it from a very vicious outside world. Make Greenland great again. Then they put articles out there about how people in Greenland are begging Donald Trump to acquire Greenland, to make it a part of the United States of America, to make them safe, to get them out of the faulty leadership that they're currently under. At the same time, Newsweek, mainstream media outlets talking about Donald Trump's plan for a new U.S. empire. And of course, the MAGA corporation here, the MAGA conservatives who think they're awake, don't have the slightest clue that this is an operation of the Club of Rome being brought about right in front of our faces, right? So Trump is building an empire, and they hear this and they're like, yeah, I'm on Team Trump. Yeah, they're building an empire. Yeah, let's take over Canada. Let's conquer other countries. Let's do this. Let's do that. Not even realizing that this is what the plan has been to bring about a new world order. Okay, so Trump's floating the idea of Greenland and Canada merging with America. And for anybody out there that's wondering about the Club of Rome, like I mentioned, the Trilateral Commission, the Bilderberg, the World Economic Forum, these are the nonprofit organizations that are bringing about our enslavement. It's world leaders who get together along with economists, scientists, business leaders, high-level civil servants, members of the UN, diplomats, and of course, they're not getting together to talk about how they can make our lives better. They're getting together to talk about how they can enslave us and have more control over us. Here's a quote from a document from the Club of Rome. In searching for a new enemy to unite us, we came up with the idea that pollution, the threat of global warming, water shortages, famine, and the like would fit the bill. And these dangers are caused by human intervention. The real enemy then is humanity itself, which you're seeing play out right now with weather modification and weather control being blamed on all of us when they're the ones who are using their technology to create these weather catastrophes, these weather anomalies. They're going to blame it on us and bring about the carbon footprint. So this is the regionalized and adapting model of the global world system that was strategized at the Club of Rome in 1973. And here is Kevin O'Leary, who was one of these businessmen who was a member of the Club of Rome, who you could see throwing up that gang sign over his eye, the 666 sign, the sign you see Donald Trump throw up out there. And you don't go, well, Donald Trump holds up this symbol. What is he, a John Cena fan? Wait a minute, are all these celebrities who hold this up, from Lady Gaga to Bono, how come they're all holding this up over their eye, making the all-seeing eye of Providence symbol? Well, because they're all members of the same club that we're not in. Kevin O'Leary, of course, a member of another club where he wears his red bracelet very often out in the public, of course, because they're the ones who are controlling and behind this entire New World Order. But O'Leary is known for fame from Shark Tank, which, of course, these stooges, these criminals on Shark Tank are part of the problem. They are part of what our society has become, with them telling you that you could become rich, you could become important, and you could come and pitch your ideas for a company. These are the things that the civilians in America thrive for, to become rich and successful like these guys. They don't know that these people steal ideas from others. They're in these positions of power because if you come up with an idea, they take it. They hijack it. They are the American corporation. If you come onto that show, guess what? You're going to get a penny on the dollar for your idea if they steal it from you. And then, of course, they'll spin it to the American public as if they're helping people. They're creating great ideas and all this stuff. These are the people responsible, along with the corporations that are running the United States of America, for bringing about this New World Order infrastructure. And here is O'Leary. I want you to listen closely. O'Leary isn't wasting any time because he's the one who is now becoming the face of this North American Union with Donald Trump. Donald Trump looked at as what? A businessman. Kevin O'Leary looked at as what? A businessman. He is coming in on behalf of Canada and talking about merging Canada and America. Listen to this closely because he even says the word North American Union. They're not hiding it. He is a member of the Club of Rome, as is Donald Trump. And listen to what he says about the economy, merging the Federal Reserve, the Bank of Canada, having a currency, because that's part of this, having a one world currency. It starts with the merging of countries, breaking down the countries into bigger regions where there's a universal currency within these regions. Eventually, this turns into a world currency, but they're doing it little by little, but it's coming quicker than you could possibly imagine. So here he is talking about the North American Union, combining currencies with Canada, and even talking about a digital passport. Remember, folks, part of what they were trying to install last time during the outbreak was a digital passport. It was a big narrative, and it will continue to be. The digital ID is your enslavement passport, and they want to bring it about with this merging of the North American Union of Canada and America. Listen.
President-elect Trump on this issue.
I had two topics that I wanted to talk to him about. Number one was integrating Canada towards a North American Union for greater strength, just period. The world's a difficult place these days, and most Canadians would like to look at that opportunity without giving up their sovereignty. So low-hanging fruit would be combined currency, for example, combining the Bank of Canada with the Fed, things like that. We are the largest trading partners. And just to ask him, because this was on Saturday, to say these meetings you're having with Trudeau and finance ministers from Canada, with all due respect, sir, are a complete waste of time. This guy's going to get eradicated out of the Canadian political landscape. Give the Canadians a chance to re-elect a leader, just like you got re-elected, that has a 4-year mandate, just like you have, and let's get down to business.
Evan, we understand you're headed to Mar-a-Lago to meet with President-elect Trump. You have said you want to broker a deal that will create an economic union between the U.S. and Canada. Is that right?
Yes, there's no reason to be fighting. We've been talking about this for decades, and I think the time is right. What I did, and I've been doing this now for about 48 hours, and I'm getting a lot of feedback from the Canadian public. I enjoy a very large social media following there. So I said to them, look, what deal do you want? And they definitely don't want to give up their sovereignty, but they really want to explore this idea of an economic union, because Canada, but you think about the 40 million people, size of California, unlimited resources, unlimited power, unlimited gas, unlimited water, unlimited lumber, unlimited everything. And they're not stupid. They're thinking, wait a second, what if we had free trade east, west, north, south? And we put all our resources in, instead of squabbling on our own border between Canada and the United States, and put all that money up into protecting ourselves against the Chinese and the Russians up north. That all makes sense to Canadians. They just don't want to give up their sovereignty, just like somebody born in Louisiana doesn't want to be born somewhere else. They want to say, look, I was born in Calgary, whatever. But the way to solve for that is a passport, no different than the EU. Any American get it, any Canadian can get it, get the background check. They're starting to like that idea a lot more than the idea of selling out the whole country.
It'll be interesting to see what kind of headway you can make with the president-elect. I feel like he would be open to something like that.
I think he's a great negotiator, and he throws out these outlandish ideas, and then what falls through the cracks is the winning stuff. I really think the two countries should get together, and I'm licking my chops at the opportunity of being involved, because right now we've got a leadership that's collapsing. Justin Trudeau is on his way out, so for the next 5 months, there's a void in Ottawa. As I like to say, thank goodness I'm here.
It's integrating Canada towards a North American Union, the combined currency, for example.
But the way to solve for that is a passport, no different than the EU.
So they're not hiding it. They're not hiding it at all. He even is using terminology that comes directly out of the Club of Rome. So if you want to look at the genesis of the New World Order, you can go back to the Club of Rome in 1968, which again is made up of economists, scientists, businessmen, high-level politicians. They call these things think tanks. This is how they get away with it, because they don't want you to realize that they're actually conspiring. Conspiring against whom? Conspiring against you. Conspiring against me. It is a think tank, they claim, for a one-world government. And back in 1974, they proposed and published a report called The Regionalized Adaptive Model for the Global World System. Okay, they debated and agreed that it would be impossible to effectively run the world with 196 countries. So they came up with a plan to divide the world into 10 regional kingdoms that would replace all national boundaries. That's why you've heard all of these stories from every single country, not just America. For anyone out there who is in America, this is happening all around the earth right now. This issue with the borders and illegals crossing over. It's happening in the UK. They're creating false flags around it, right? Illegals in the UK committing, all sorts of crimes, committing false flag operations where the people are getting angry, saying that we need, to fix this problem. And the problem will only be fixed with a digital ID. So they're talking about a 10 regional kingdom. And this brings about the end and destruction of national sovereignty, okay? And while we're talking about the 10 kingdoms, keep in mind the book of Revelation, chapter 17, verses 12 through 13. And the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings, which have received no kingdom as yet, but receive power as kings for 1 hour with the beast. Now, this is the blueprint of what the 10 kingdoms look like of the regionalized adoptive model for the global world system. I covered, when talking about this news with Justin Trudeau on my Hurting Humanity channel, about Mexico being a part of the North American Union. There are various models that show Mexico as either being a part of the South America Union or the North America Union. Now, with Donald Trump in power, it looks more like they would probably go with this model that has Mexico with South America, based off of the hatred that they've created through psychological operations for white Caucasian Americans and Mexicans. They've done this deliberately, right? They've created this race war. They've recreated this race war. They've continued to bait people into a race war. And they've obviously, by constantly talking about white nationalists, while people out there deny being white nationalists, are actually creating white nationalists and making people not want any open border to Mexico. But that doesn't mean that they don't want an open border to Canada. So it might start off looking like this. This would be my guess, that this would be the blueprint they would go by. But I could easily see Canada, America, Greenland, all turning into the North American Union, and eventually Mexico being lured in with psychological operations where they tell us that Trump is going to conquer Mexico, or the Mexican government is crumbling and America needs to step in to save it, and then they could tear down the wall. Now we have this big North American Union, because this is going to start off again with a lot of flight restrictions. A lot of things are going to occur on day one when Trump gets put into power, or is officially in power, even though we all know that that's all shadow government already controlling everything. But when Trump officially takes office for his role as an actor, he's going to start doing these things with deportation. So it's going to start off where Mexico is not included in this, but I do believe that there's a chance that Mexico is included in the North American Union in the future. I also believe that Puerto Rico and Guam will probably be in the North American Union as well. But this is what the map looks like for anybody out there that wants to take a look. This is the plan. 10 kingdoms, combining countries. The more they start breaking this down, suddenly you can see what? Well, you can see we have 10 countries, then we can start merging it into, well, we'll take the North America Union and we'll merge it with the South America Union, right? We'll take the Asian Corporation dialogue over there and we'll merge it with the Pacific Union, or maybe we'll merge it with the Southeast Asian nations with the Shanghai Corporation organization. So it could go any way, but this is a beginning of breaking it down so there's more control. So when you know, for people out there that don't understand, you're looking around, you're going, okay, well, there's 196 countries. You start breaking this down from 196 into 10 regions, then you could start implementing your digital passport. Then from there, like dominoes, you could start merging it and making it even smaller, even smaller, even smaller, create false flag, fake wars, fake conflicts to make the people out there want even more merging and eventually merging into one, because that's what the end game is, a one world government, a one world order. So this is pretty incredible that it's happening this fast. I'm a bit shocked. I'm going to be perfectly honest that we hit January 1st. We had multiple false flags. That doesn't surprise me so much, but the poor production quality continues to surprise me. The fact that we had the Cybertruck outside of the Trump casino, how obvious is that it's a government operation? Of course, they did that to bait in the MAGA conservatives into thinking again that everybody's conspiring against Trump because Trump is going to end the deep state, right? These people continue to fall for it, and they don't even know right in front of their faces. This is part of the blueprint, the outline for the New World Order, the North American Union. Look it up. Look into it. Do more research on the Club of Rome. Do more research on how they plan to bring this about. And what is Donald Trump doing? On January 6th of all days, they decide in Congress, nobody says, hey, maybe we should do it on the 7th or the 8th, because this day, of course, defies the end of democracy, we were told by our media, right? Kept gaslighting conservatives with it, kept bringing it up every day that it's the worst event that's ever happened in American history. Of course, everybody out there laughs at that notion, but really they want to ingrain it in your head because they're going to blame, when people start waking up to this stuff, they're going to blame January 6, 2021 as the day that democracy really died. When people actually wake up and realize that there is no democracy, that we're not a republic really, because we're really a republic. But when people wake up all of a sudden and get angry about what they're living in, they're going to say, well, you guys did it. You conservatives did it. January 6th was the end of democracy. And then on January 6th, 2025, what do? They don't question the voting. All the stuff we've heard over the last 8 years with, they rigged this, Russia here, collusion, the ballot boxes in Arizona, nothing, not a peep. January 6th, they roll into Congress and they go, Donald Trump is our new president. At the same time, Justin Trudeau, of all days, decides to resign. And Donald Trump tweets out what? He tweets out that Canada should become the 51st state and America should adopt Greenland. Oh, wow. The blueprints from the Club of Rome directly. While you have Kevin O'Leary, this synagogue of Satan puppet, going on national TV every day, working the MAGA conservatives out there into thinking how prosperous it'll be for America because he's a smart businessman. How great it would be for America, how much less taxes we'd have. Oh my gosh, endless water, endless this. And all the people out there who think they're awake are just getting programmed. They're not realizing it. They're going, oh, that sounds great. Then they're going out there repeating it. This would be great to have in Canada. We had all the resources. And we don't have to worry about the annoying border when we go up to Canada if we want to go up there. And on top of that, no more Klaus Schwab puppet, Justin Trudeau. But what they don't realize is that Canada couldn't be more opposite of America. And emerging between these two countries, just imagine what suddenly happens with all of these gun laws that the Canadians are okay with having, or all of these hate speech laws that are up in Canada. How's all that going to filter down into America? Well, they're not thinking about that, right? Because what are they thinking about? Money, taxes. They're thinking about dominance, global dominance. They love this stuff, right? That alpha male syndrome that they've built out in MAGA. Oh, this is so cool. I voted for Trump. I'm a Trump supporter. Oh, man, he's conquering Canada. He's conquering Greenland. We're expanding the United States. Yeah, you're expanding the United States, which is a part of the New World Order's playbook. So these people who think and say that they're anti-globalists don't even realize they're playing right into their hand. And that's what we've all warned about. We've been warning for years. I specifically have been warning since this started with Donald Trump in 2016. I've been warning about it, and he's wasted no time. He's implementing a new world order. And Elon Musk's role in this is very, very big with the AI governance, with cutting down the government costs and all this stuff that sound great to you on paper. Oh, yeah, let's get rid of these guys. They don't even work anyway. Why do I have to pay my taxes to those people? We'll replace it with AI. Well, AI governance is what the World Economic Forum's plan is, isn't it? Oh, yeah, it is. But these people don't know it because they're listening to alt-right controlled media that doesn't bring that up to them. They only bring up things that drive them crazy, like can men have babies, can boys play girls' sports, and all this other nonsense, which is not important in the grand scheme of things. It's just stuff they're deliberately doing to distract you while they're implementing a new world order right in front of you. And on top of that, all of the deceptions that are going to come with Space Force, because America, Canada, and Greenland, there's a lot of room up there, including on Devon Island, to start really faking their mission to Mars and their Mars landings and all these things that they have prepared for bigger deceptions like Project Bluebeam, among other things. So here we are, folks. Here we are in January 2025, and we already are having the building of the North American Union. Only can imagine how much more is going to come, because 2030 is on the cusp. And part of the Agenda 2030 and the UN's Agenda 2030 is about bringing these countries together and making 10 kingdoms. It's absolutely insane that people refuse to wake up to this. And I say they refuse to wake up to it because I guarantee you the MAGA people who see this video will just automatically dismiss it. Most of them just hear me talk and they're like, oh, he's some crazy liberal. That's what these people think. Meanwhile, most of these people couldn't be more asleep and are just as blue-pilled, so to speak, as the libs are. They're under full mind control. They're in a full psychosis. So they'll dismiss it because I'm not kissing the feet of Donald Trump and cheering for Donald Trump. They just automatically think I'm a liberal. They can't get to the notion of the left and the right are both controlled. If you control both sides, it's a win-win scenario. They wouldn't put themselves in a situation where you would have power to vote somebody in or out or to stop this new world order train. Okay? The left-right paradigm is what keeps you enslaved to it. And these people cannot wrap their heads around it. They just automatically will hear this, dismiss it, and hope for the best. The lesser of two evils. Weak men doing nothing. I thank everybody for being here. I hope you're all doing well. God bless you and your families as always.